Everyone knows what a volcano is. Many people have heard about devastating volcanic eruptions in the past, such as the destruction of Pompeii. Even as this is being recorded, there are several volcanoes erupting around the world. In particular, there's even one erupting in the United States and Hawaii. Even a single volcano can drastically change the environment of the entire world.
Alright, there are two major ways that volcanoes form. The first is with subduction. This is when the tectonic plates collide, and when this happens, one plate will descend while the other ascends. This leads to a steep increase in the height of the ground. The tectonic collision increases the pressure and the temperature that the surrounding area experiences. This leads to a release of water from the rock, which creates magma. Another way that subduction can form volcanoes is when a continental tectonic plate collides with an oceanic plate. The oceanic plate would sink lower than the continental plate because it is less buoyant than the oceanic plate. The water also helps form magma in this scenario. These volcanoes are oftentimes steeper and can be associated with island chains, like the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. They can also form mountain ranges in continental collisions.
The second way that a volcano could form is with a hotspot. This is when a large amount of heat rises from the mantle and melts the rock of the lithosphere to form magma. This magma seeps through the cracks in the crust to form a volcano, and it is believed that the reason for these hotspots existing is that there are moving regions of exceptionally high heat in the mantle, and when this area moves away from where the volcano has formed, that volcano will die. So hotspot volcanoes frequently form underwater mountains, and a hotspot volcano is believed to have created the Hawaiian Islands by creating mountains that eventually reached above sea level in the Pacific Ocean.
Volcanoes erupt because of an overflow in the volcano's magma chamber. The magma chambers are where the volcano stores the magma. It receives a constant flow of lava from the mantle. When it overflows, the magma is pushed out through the volcano, causing an eruption. If there is no pathway for the lava to exit, it will force down some sides of the volcano in order to exit. This is the main way that volcanoes erupt. There are some other ways, however, that involve magma crystallization and pressure buildup.
Everybody knows about volcanoes, the big rocks that like to blow, and they're very dangerous, Everybody knows about volcanoes, the big rocks that like to blow, and they're very dangerous, There are two ways that they can form, I'm gonna tell you so I can help you right now. Number one is subduction. This is a tectonic plate collision. One goes up and goes down. Volcanoes all around. But wait, there's more in subduction. Continental oceanic collision. The ocean plate goes down. Continental gets a
There are four Earth systems that encompass the world we live in. They are the atmosphere, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere. The atmosphere contains all of the gases on the planet, such as carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, etc. All of our air is part of the atmosphere. The lithosphere is the terrain of the planet. It includes the rocks, soil, dirt, clay, and even the inner layers of the Earth, including the mantle and the cores.
Volcanoes
the hydrosphere represents all of the water on the planet.
Scarcity.
Oceans, lakes, seas, or the water in your water bottle are all part of the hydrosphere. The biosphere is all living things on Earth, trees, plants, fungi, and animals.
Continental ones up, creating volcanoes. This is an example of the hydrosphere interacting with the lithosphere. Another example of this interaction is when water can help form magma by increasing the melting point of rock. And when a volcano erupts, it can drastically affect the surrounding biosphere. When a volcano erupts around human development, for example, it will cause evacuation, people will panic and perhaps even die. Additionally, volcanoes can destroy a lot of flora and fauna forever changing or temporarily changing an ecosystem thereafter based on however bad that destruction was. And when volcanoes erupt, they release many different chemical compounds into the atmosphere. It commonly releases sulfur dioxide and ash. So while sulfur dioxide is in the atmosphere, it will turn into sulfate aerosol, which is essentially the opposite of a greenhouse gas. Sulfate aerosol reflects sunlight back into space, which cools down the planet. So this is why historically big eruptions have resulted in a cooling of the planet. And a very extreme example of how a volcano can affect the atmosphere and the weather, and also the biosphere a little, is what is hypothesized to have happened in the year 536 AD. And historians have written accounts from everywhere in like Eurasia, the Eurasian continent, from Europe to China, that a thick fog covered the sky for around 18 months and that the sun's visibility was greatly diminished. And during this time, research shows that a volcano in Iceland erupted. So it's hypothesized that volcano created a massive fog over large portions of the world. And during this time, it's also believed that the Earth cooled by around 30 degrees. And more recently, in 1815, a massive volcano eruption in Indonesia killed around 10,000 people by itself and massively cooled the atmosphere. And this created massive famines that killed around another 80,000 people. And this one is much more well documented. The particles released by volcanic eruptions can also increase rainfall because the particles released by volcanoes can serve as the nuclei for raindrops.
According to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, try to distance yourself as much as possible from the volcano, of course. If you are stuck inside, you are advised to shut off the AC, close the windows, and turn off any fans. The same is true if you are in a car. The CDC also advises wearing long-sleeve clothing and potentially wearing a mask. There is no known method of preventing volcanic eruptions, so the best solution is to maximize survival. Run away.
Yeah, she a crazy hoe. Yeah, hey, tried to overdose.